When I began the Education, Media Design, and Technology program at Full Sail, I was teaching 4th grade. As a teacher in Florida, that meant the focus was on writing, an FCAT-tested skill in 4th grade and a major source of stress for 4th grade teachers and students. Since much of my daily instruction centered on writing, I knew I wanted to tie it into my action research. Students are bombarded with writing instruction from the first week of 4th grade. Some are natural writers. However, in my experience, the majority of students are reluctant to write. My goal was to find a way to motivate them, to get them to truly enjoy writing. It's no secret that students these days, no matter their age, are immersed in a variety of technologies, from smartphones to computers to video games. These digital natives, as Mark Prensky calls them, crave the entertainment value that computer technologies offer, but traditional classroom instruction does not. Of course, as educators, we're often limited in the technologies we can utilize, but at the start of my action research adventure, I saw that I would be able to easily incorporate classroom computers. During month 4 of the EMDT program, we were asked to settle on the problem statement for our action research project. It was the perfect month for me to do this. I was taking Emergent Technologies in a Collaborative Culture at the time, during which we explored a variety of Web 2.0 tools and began to dabble with blogging, something I had never really done before entering the EMDT program. But this new experience sparked an idea. Could blogging motivate my young writers and maybe even help to improve their writing scores? When the new school year started, I moved to a new school and a new grade level. My research subjects would now be 3rd graders. However, I knew from experience that the writing issues I found in 4th grade also existed in 3rd grade, so I decided to continue on with my idea. I began digging through the existing research. The more I started to dig, the more I realized that the focus of most existing research was on older students. Although there were a handful of resources out there that addressed blogging with elementary age students, most used high school or college age students as subjects. But the information I did uncover while researching my literature review is promising. The research spoke of the fact that blogging opens up students to a broader audience, which may motivate them to work harder to create better writing. I even found a study conducted by a group from the University of Florida that had 3rd graders blogging with college students. These college students posted feedback to the younger students' blogs, which in turn made the 3rd graders more motivated to write online. Blogging would offer my students something that paper-pencil writing couldn't. It would give them an authentic purpose for writing. Blogging could be a real-world writing experience that wouldn't come from writing an essay. After finding research to cover the motivation issues I was seeing with students, I felt like I might be onto something. I wanted to see if finding a way to spark excitement for writing might also improve their scores on writing assessments. When the new school year started, I created a class website using Weebly for Education. I picked this site for a few reasons. It had password protection for my students' blogs to keep them safe. It seemed to be user-friendly, and it allowed me to link many blogs to one website. I liked that the Weebly site allowed me to do more than just blogging. As a teacher, I wanted a place to display photos and student projects, as well as our blogs. At the beginning of my first cycle of research, I gave my class a survey to see how much experience they had with computers and to see how they felt about writing. I was surprised to see how many of my students had a positive attitude towards writing. This was not typical of the students I'd had in the past. As expected, though, all of my students had experience with computers, which was something I was counting on. Students were also given a writing assessment to gauge what level writers I'd be dealing with this year. It was clear that most of my class had been given basic writing instruction. However, the overall scores were low. The average score was 2.3 on a scale of 0 to 6. I had a lot to work on this year when it came to writing, but the positive attitudes they had towards writing would prove to be a big help. I started my students off slow. I introduced them to blogging by showing them some student-friendly blogs that they may have seen before. We went over blogging guidelines and discussed proper blogging etiquette. After that, the blogging adventure began by having them post comments to a class blog. After a month or so of this, students began to feel comfortable enough to post to their own personal blogs. Initially, I didn't want to use blogging prompts. I wanted my students to blog freely about what was on their mind, what they were interested in learning about, and so on. During Cycle 1, I used informal observations and conversations with my students to determine where tweaking was needed. Students requested that I give them more guidance, often complaining that they didn't know what to blog about. It was at this point that I gave them options each time we blogged, often related to something we were studying in class. This greatly improved the quality of their blog postings. By the end of my first cycle of research, regular writing instruction was given a few times a week, although no great improvement was seen on district writing assessments by this point. My students just needed more experience, and I could see that with a little more time, these third graders would continue to grow as writers. Few changes were needed from Cycle 1 to Cycle 2. I continued to give my students blogging topic ideas as they requested during the first research cycle. Their enthusiasm for visiting the computer lab to update their individual blogs continued to increase, which was refreshing to see. But the greatest improvement found during Cycle 2 was in their enthusiasm to write. In their off time, I noticed more and more of my students making books out of notebook paper and filling them with poetry and stories. They did this not at my request, but because they genuinely had the interest to write. Blogging connected my students in ways beyond what I expected. I began to notice that blogging promoted collaboration. Not only were my students posting comments on each other's blogs, starting a dialogue online, but they were also more inclined to work together in the classroom. More and more, students began helping each other and problem solving together, something not all that common with children this age. District writing assessments were given on a monthly basis throughout both research cycles. As per district and state requirements, students are given a writing prompt and 45 minutes to plan and write either a narrative or expository essay, depending on the prompt. These monthly writing assessment scores showed an increase for most of my students. Average writing scores increased from a 2.3 on the pre-assessment to a 3.2 at the end of Cycle 2. With half of the school year left, these results are very promising. Of course, some of that increase is due to regular traditional writing instruction, but the effects of blogging cannot be ignored. It clearly piqued a writing interest in individual students that wasn't there before. Now, blogging hasn't worked miracles. There are still one or two students who just can't seem to put pencil to paper. However, the general attitude towards writing has been amazing. I plan to continue using blogging in my classroom for years to come and look forward to seeing how it will affect future students. I've also been asked by my principal and school technology specialist to present my research to my faculty in the hopes that more teachers will jump in with blogging. My research results are encouraging. I'm excited by the prospect of creating a school-wide blogging community and to see where more technology integration can take us.